Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings, Eagle Sports Live. The volleyball team will be back home Friday, November 6th at 7 p.m. when the Eagles face SIU Edwardsville. Tickets will be $5 for adults, $2 for children 12 and under. That's Eagles versus SIUE. Friday, November 6th at Weatherby Gym. For more information, you can visit msueagles.com. Talking a little women's basketball, Greg Todd has joined us. Coach, heading into your second year, you have to feel probably more comfortable with Johnson Arena and also the OVC.
We do. We know we got our hands full with a very good conference this year, but I think having returning players definitely more comfortable. That makes a big difference. And then, as we mentioned, Ariel McKee, Shea Steele had tremendous seasons. Two of our top players from last year are returning. That helps, and we do have a mix of a lot of newcomers coming in as well.
Well, let's talk about some of the newcomers that you have. You can pick and choose whatever one you want. I got a roster right in front of us, but you know.
We'll start with KK Tate. She is a young lady who played on a Walter State team that went 32-4. They ended up making the Final Four of the Junior College National Tournament. She was an all-conference player on that team, so we were very thrilled to get her on our roster. She has played well. She's similar to Natalie in that she's had 2 ACL surgeries over her career, but she is moving well, playing well. She's a two guard, so she's a junior college player with a lot of experience. I think will give us quite a bit of depth at the guard spot. As far as freshmen, we do have 5 freshmen this year. One young lady was with us all year, Dominique St. Louis. She tore her Achilles last year. She is recovered well, is looking good in practice. Then we have 4 incoming freshmen. Miranda Crockett, we were blessed to have opportunity to go to the Bahamas this summer. Miranda was our leading scorer in Game 1, and in Game 2, she was our leading rebounder. She's was state champion last year in the state of Virginia, private school. Excellent defender, good all-around player. And we also have Georgia Campbell, who's from Ontario, Canada. She is about 6'1", very strong, very young player. Was looking at potentially staying in high school another year, but was able to come in and come to our program this year. So she's going to give us some depth in the post. No question about that. We have also Alexis Bailey. She is a guard. Have two freshman guards from Virginia. We signed her late, but she is one of our top shooters. Very strong built guard that can put it on the floor. I think give us some depth when we're looking to score. So five new freshmen along with KK Tate, and also I forgot to mention Haley Sue Fouch. Haley's actually been playing extremely well. She was moved from a post position in high school to a wing. And she's one of our top 3-point shooters. Got good height, about 5'10". We think she could have a great year for us.
And of course, Haley Sue's from Ashland. Paul Blazer won a couple of 16th regions in the last few years, so she's got some experience there. You take a look at everybody we mentioned. I guess we haven't mentioned Aaliyah Wells. At times last year when we needed her, she could step up. I think another word, like we talked about Shea, consistency for Aaliyah, because if she plays like she can play with Ariel and her and Shea, and this could be a very exciting team to watch.
You're exactly right. We're stepping it up a little bit as far as the way we're playing, and I think for Aaliyah that's a good thing. She's a tremendous athlete. Got her shot is looking better. Her drives to the basket's better. We're trying to eliminate her or drop her fouls down to where she's not fouling at quite the level she was last year. So she she looks, in our opinion, very improved, and we definitely think she could have a great junior campaign as well.
How about this young lady named Brooke Todd?
Don't know anything about her.
She came in last year, and for the numbers she put up, you have to be very proud as a coach, but you also have to be very proud as a father of what she came in and gave your team when they needed it.
Well, it was a pleasant surprise. Did not think she would be able to contribute, particularly after having a knee surgery during the summer last year. She missed all of the preseason. Felt like she got better and better as the year went along, and she's had a good off season this year. She's stronger. I think we'll see a better sophomore campaign out of her, and definitely look forward to that.
I guess if she doesn't play, you hear it from home, don't you?
No, no option with her. But yes.
But I mean, she came in and really surprised a lot of people, in the fact that you can be very proud, because you're, as most coaches are, you're harder on her than you are the other players. It may not seem like it, but since she's your daughter, you probably do hear it from home from mom sometimes.
Mom actually is kind of a funny story. We were playing at Tennessee State, had the regular season game, and we had Casey was a little bit under the weather that night and just couldn't give us very many minutes. So Brooke ended up playing a lot of minutes that game and did not have her best game. And my wife actually called, wanted to know why I played her as much as I did. I said, well, that's a little unique. You usually most parents aren't going to have we're not going to have that problem, but it was a situation where she just didn't have her best game, and we had to play her quite a few minutes.
Now,
there.
A coach coming into the program sometimes doesn't get to pick a schedule. You just have to play, like we talked about, a very tough non-conference schedule. This year, you got a very tough non-conference schedule, so you can't blame anybody but yourself right now, because you take a look at this schedule. You got Marshall coming to Johnson Arena. You're at Kentucky. You're at Georgia State. Mount St. Joseph's comes in, and then you're at Chicago State and Miami of Ohio. That's November, Coach.
That's November, but yes, we think as far as our schedule, we have several games that we match up well. Certainly Kentucky, at Kentucky, and West Virginia at their place are very tough games, and we do have some teams that are in larger conferences that will be tough matchups. But we also think out of 14 non-conference games, several of the games are good matchups for us.
Well, and you also, in December, you go to West Virginia. It's the first time in a long time that we've played West Virginia, if we played them at all. And then a very tough trip to Nashville to play Lipscomb, and then Southern Illinois on the road December 12th, followed by a 3-game homestand with South Carolina Upstate. We saw how athletic they were last year. Kennesaw State, Alabama A&M, and then you go on your Christmas tour of California to play UC Santa Barbara.
That I think it's the first time Morehead State women's basketball team has been in California, maybe played one game against a California team. So that will be great for our program, I think, to be able to travel and be able to see a little bit of Los Angeles and San Diego. When we come back, we'll actually fly back into Nashville and play Murray to start the OVC
conference season
play.
January 2nd. I don't think we've ever been to California. I know we played Long Beach State in the DeLand Stetson tournament we won when Hall of Famer Candy Brown and that was a member of the women's basketball program here at Morehead State. So it's good. It's good for the girls, because you're going to have to be with them all week. This way you get a chance to travel, some educational trips, because I know after last year, your first trip, you had them up and at them early in the morning. You went to the White House and visited the White House, and then on that Saturday you had another tour of Washington.
We did. We were able to do the Capitol tour, White House tour, and I think obviously in Division I you're there to play the games is your number one focus. But when you're in some nice venues for the girls that may not have opportunity to be there maybe ever or very seldom be those places, I think when you can, it's nice to be able to see a few sights and be able to get around in the city that you're going to. And we're we're definitely thrilled that we have a lot of nice places to visit. Black Friday in Chicago, I'm not sure is exactly where you want to be. Is much hustle and bustle there, but it'll be.
Well, you won't get to stay there very long.
We won't be there long
because you play at Chicago State at 3 o'clock a Saturday afternoon, and you have to make that 6-hour trip to Miami, Ohio, and play Sunday afternoon at Miami, Ohio.
Got two games on that trip.
We need to talk about try to have a day in between on the travel with this schedule. But, Coach, you mentioned the style of play. Going to try to get it up and down the floor a little more. I know talking to some of the girls, they're excited because I think a lot of them, with the talent we have, we can play a little bit more faster. The better talent we get in, you can play the style you want to play.
It is nicer. I think girls enjoy playing that style. It takes a little bit of training. It was nice this summer. We were able to get some practices in. Not every player on a roster was there, but we had, I think, eight of our 12 was there, and so that's made a good transition. We, I think from a fan standpoint, it'll be an entertaining style of play. Occasionally we'll probably throw up a bad shot a little more than maybe in the past, but hopefully with our energy and effort and hopefully not too many bad shots, but we will be shooting the ball up a little bit faster, a little higher rate to part of our game plan there. So I think give us a few games. I feel like we'll do well with this style.
Women's program will have its first and only exhibition game at Johnson Arena coming up next Thursday, November 5th. Transylvania will come to town. 6 o'clock will be the tip-off. That's a special game for you as you bring your old club in to scrimmage your new club.
Coach Folks did a great job last year. I've always felt like one thing as a coach, you definitely want to leave a program in better shape than you got it, and she did a very good job with the program. They do return a good part of their team. They have a couple young ladies that I'm very familiar with. I think could help us here at Moorhead. So we can't rest just because they're in the Division III level. It should be fun. But Coach Brown, an assistant coach, and I have definitely are familiar with most of them. They did pick up several freshmen this year, so there will be some new faces. But Transylvania's great school for me and my family, and it'll be exciting to have them back.
Then Friday, November 13th, Marshall will come, part of a doubleheader, part of this Mickey Wells Classic. Tell us a little bit about that. We got about a couple minutes left.
Sure. We wanted to establish an event, and we have some individuals we're going to honor each year. And this first year, Coach Wells meant so much to this program. Was able to get a hold of him a couple months ago, and Brian Hutchinson, we felt like he would be a great person to name an event after, and hopefully his family will be able to come up and some of his former players. But that will be Friday and Saturday, and actually get a third game out of it against another Division III team, Mount St. Joe.
Now, Mount St. Joe got a lot of publicity last year. They had Laura Hill, the young lady who succumbed to cancer, but that was a great story because she battled and got to play in some of their action last year.
She, yes, a tremendous story. Your heart has to go out to their team and to her family, and their coach Dan Benjamin is a good friend of mine. We are very gracious that we can have them up, and it means a lot to. Sometimes some smaller schools don't get an opportunity to play a Division I school.
November 5th, Transylvania at Johnson Arena at 6 o'clock, and then Friday, November 13th, Marshall at home, and on Saturday, November 14th, Kentucky Christian will take on the women's basketball program here at Moorhead State. That Saturday game set for 4:30. Always a pleasure. We'll do this about 30 more times this year. And we'll have Coach Todd on before each game, talking to him, and after each game. But right now, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we'll come back. Rob Tenier will join us. We'll talk about the big Eagle win over the weekend. That's from Buffalo Wild Wings here on Eagle Sports Live on the Eagle Sports Network.
style cherry. Exclusively cherry.
$7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern time, or 7 o'clock Eastern time in a few minutes. 26 minutes here at Buffalo Wild Wings. They'll have the soccer game on one of the big screens here as Morehead State takes on Tennessee, which one? Tech at 7 o'clock. Rob Tenyer has joined us now. Coach, I keep on saying this week after week. It just seems like we get better and better each week. Have a situation, you're down on the road, playing a pretty good team, but these young men won't give up, won't go down easy, and they come out with a very big road win.
Well, each week I come to the show and my smile gets a little bigger, so we're continuing to win and have some success. And as you mentioned, Jay, that was a big game. It's a big trip. Go down there and play to get a really good football team. I think they were picked either 4th or 5th in the conference preseason. And so we're just kind of climbing the ladder, working hard, trying to get better each week, and find a way to win games. And that's what we did on the road down at Campbell.
It goes down to almost the last seconds of the game, and you get a big touchdown. And one of the big plays is I call it a bonehead play when a kid almost picks off a pass and then he kicks it and gets 15 yards. But you kept your cool in that. That was a confusing scenario in a way because the referee was saying it was 4th down, and you knew that it was a 15-yard penalty, which unsportsmanlike is a first down, automatic first down. You knew that, but trying to get their attention to it so they wouldn't run a 4th down play while you knew it wasn't 4th down.
Well, the side judge that's the guy I was trying to communicate to, because typically you can't get the white hat's attention out on the field. So, and he was like, no, coach. And I was, so I had to get out there and make sure I was heard. And then I was in a situation, Jay, if they weren't going to change it, I was going to have to burn our last time out and kick the field goal and go to overtime.
And it would have changed the whole complexion.
I was not going to go for it from the 4-yard line. If we were on the 1, I already had it in my head that we were going to go for it on 4th down. But in that scenario, I was willing to kick it and go to overtime.
Robinson scoring on a 2-yard run with 14 seconds left. He showed a lot because that was a hard 2-yard run he had.
Yeah, it was, and he hit it pretty good, and they burned a couple timeouts on defense there, and sometimes you just gotta maybe just let them play, and it gave us a timeout in our back pocket there for once we had to kick the ball off again, and we only had 11 or 10 on the field, so I burned a timeout there and made sure that we knew what we wanted to be in defensively and make sure we were going to knock that ball or pick that ball or sack that quarterback.
I know each coach will come and tell you they can't have a 100% perfect game, but it just seems like you put these kids in a situation over the last few years, it might not have come out as well as it has this year. The fact that we talked about the depth all the time. We talk about players coming, returning players, knowing your system. I mean, that has to give you some confidence on that sideline. The fact that these young men been in these situations before, and they're working hard to make sure they do whatever you and your staff wants.
Well, that's what we're dealing with right now. I think our success is really stemming a lot from our confidence right now. And it's easier from a coaching standpoint, Jay, to be confident in your players when they're playing at that level. And you can see and hear that confidence. We went for a couple big 4th downs on offense. We got one and we missed one. So, and our defense played an outstanding first half of football and made some huge plays in the second half when called upon.
And we talked about the red zone scoring chance after the game. Chuck mentioned it. You were 5 of 5. I mean, you can't get any better than 5 of 5 when you get into the red zone that you took advantage of it.
Yeah, and we're number 1 in the conference. If you look at that stat over the last 5 to 6 years, we were 1-2 right there. And, that's something that after 2011, we came away and said, okay, we're doing a lot of great things, but we're not getting all the points that we can get once we get down in that red zone. So we really turned the focus to that going into 2012. And, as you go on, you just kind of find different ways of doing things. And the Coach St. Louis and the rest of the staff has done a great job. And it's very important, and it's helped us win games up to this point, being good in the red zone.
Attendance there, because it was homecoming, was 6,500. We're going to have a chance to play in front of as many fans as have ever seen Morehead State in a season, because you got 9,000s at home. We got 2 games left, 2 big games left. Drake this weekend, and Dayton always brings a big crowd. We could average, 8,500 to 9,000 people playing in front of it. And you played in front of, big game to start, and probably our smallest game was VMI this year.
Well, we've worked hard at that, and a lot of people get credit for that, and not only from a football standpoint, but from an administration and our department and the things that we're doing promotionally. But bottom line is, Jay, when you win, folks are going to come out and support you, and so that's what we've turned our efforts to, and we want to be a consistent football team, and we want to be one of the top 2 to 3 teams in the Pioneer Football League year in, year out. And that's what we're trying to build here, and I think we're on the way to doing something really big in our football program here.
Yeah, Morehead State beats Campbell 31-27 on the road last Saturday. Come out of it pretty healthy?
It's a physical sport. I don't know if we're healthy. Banged up a little bit. I'm going to always tell you we're banged up.
Yeah.
So, but we're playing a lot of guys right now, on both sides of the football, offense, defensive fronts, and even from a skill standpoint. So we'll lick our wounds and be ready to go.
Did you hear a big gasp from our press box area when Austin went down? Give him a lot of credit. Gutsy performance. He came back in when you needed him.
Yeah, did a great job. And let's give Jack Sherry a lot of credit, too. He came in and played well, had a big run, and got our offense down there for a go-ahead score there in the fourth quarter. So then Austin came back in and of course, took us down and had a big 4th down completion there as well, him and Justin Cornwall. So big game, big win on the road, and we just want to continue to build on momentum.
I think Jack Sherry is an example of the fact that you always tell people you have to be ready. Next up, if something goes wrong or somebody gets hurt, he had played well at times last year for you when he had to go in, and you couldn't ask for a bigger play. He had a 126-yard run. He was 1 of 2 in the air, and the team responded when he came in.
Yeah, I mean, it's listen, let's get the play called, let's run it, let's do it. This is our system, let's go. And this offense we run is predicated around our quarterback, and so Austin has had a tremendous year, and but when you're the number 2 guy, when you're the backup, you've got to be in a position to be ready mentally and physically and ready to go. And Jack's done a nice job, and he'll be ready, called upon again, hopefully in these coming weeks.
Cornwall, 14 catches, 123 yards. Seems like he gets better and better each week.
Well, him and Jake Raymond go back and forth a little bit, but 14 catches, those were some big catches. He had some big time routes that he ran, and Austin was putting the ball on the money there. And that last one in the last series, they were on the same page, and he pulled the route up, and that was a huge completion that allowed us to go in and end up scoring the go-ahead score. But he's playing at a high level. It's very hard to defend him man to man.
And that just adds to your receiving. I mean, you got Napier, you got Lewis, you got, as you said, Jake Raymond. I mean, Austin can't complain that he has not too many targets, because he has a lot of targets on the field.
Yeah, and it's we've worked hard to get to this point, and so it's paying off, all the hard work. I think that they'll tell you that they've this point wasn't easy to get to, and so it's starting to pay off. I'm excited for them, and I'll be honest with you, Jay, I just really enjoy watching them play, and really confident right now in what they do, and they're playing a really good team type brand of football.
Team gives up 27 points, but really the defense didn't give up, 27 points in a way, because your defense is playing just from game one to now. It's just totally different defensive unit out there.
Well, I don't know what the total was, 250 some yards, right? Defensively we gave up.
Let's see. Total offensive plays, 253 yards.
And we gave up a pick six. We gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. And I believe both scores were in the fourth quarter. And they got some heavy sets and just kind of ran it at us a little bit, trying to wear us down and keep our offense off the field, because they didn't want, obviously to have to defend us again there in that quarter. So, but they're playing really well. We've really tried to simplify things. They're playing hard, and they're playing with a lot of enthusiasm, and they're playing with a lot of juice. They're celebrating with one another and having fun. It's a great brand of football to watch. And I think, we're not playing mistake-free anywhere. And so I think the effort and the attitude that you bring to the table makes up for a lot of that. And that's what we're doing right now, and we want to continue to build on that as we go into Drake game.
Yeah, you mentioned special teams. I mean, there are three faces according to Belichick: your defense, your offense, and your special teams. And I think we've improved in all of them this year, especially defense and special teams, because that was, I want to say, the first big play, major play that we've given up on special teams all year.
Yeah, and it was disappointing, just had a few breakdowns, and it just tells you, or just shows you that, hey, all 11 guys got to do their job, and sometimes you may not. The other guys got to make up for it. But we're in a situation that, a couple of missed tackles is all it came down to. And so, we've learned from it, had a great week, and we're preparing for Drake, and they're going to be very, very sound in special teams. Coach Fox and I worked together at Center College, and him and I spent a lot of time coaching special teams together, and learned a lot from one another. And I know that's a big emphasis for him. And I've also, listened to his talk this week as well, and he knows that's going to be a big emphasis in this game.
Morehead State hosting Drake, 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, trick-or-treat day. Come costume. Kids can get in. Adults can get in for $5. And they'll have a costume contest, right? Wendy's $50 gift card. I was hoping I was right, because I didn't have $50 I could give them. But that'll be coming up at Jane Stadium coming up Saturday. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Bulldogs when Eagle Sports Live continues after this break on the Eagle Sports Network.
Wherever, whenever, cheering for whoever. There's one place to go for free OVC sports. The OVC Digital Network. OVC, 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 OVC.
Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings here in Morehead. Eagle Sports Live here on the Eagle Sports Network. Once again, if you come down to Buffalo Wild Wings at 7 o'clock, they'll be showing the Eagle soccer team taking on Tennessee Tech. If they win, they clinch second place in a first-round bye in the Ohio Valley Conference Soccer Tournament. If they lose or tie, they may have to play a play-in game next Sunday. And if they have to play that game, we hope that it could be at Jane Stadium. But you can go to msueagles.com for more information. I was giving you a hard time in the break, Coach. Rob Tenyer has joined us. The fact that you look at the PFL standings, and I got it circled because Morehead State's on the second line, which is not bad. And, you know, that's the way you want to be when you're building a program. You're moving up instead of moving down the page. But it really shows just how hard you, your coaching staff, and the players have worked to get back on solid ground.
Well, the key to that is finishing and try and be at the top of that conference there at the end of the season when we're all done playing. So But a lot of hard work. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm probably happy for the players more than anyone. Obviously, I want to see them have a great experience here, and we recruit them to come here to build something special, and we're on a good path right now.
Drake coming up on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Tell us a little bit about the Bulldogs.
Well, I look at their too deep roster, and I stopped counting seniors after 27 or 28. So they've got a lot of returning players, very, very talented. They've won a lot of games together. Probably realistically, probably the top defense in the conference right now, playing really well. Got a linebacker that was the National Player of the Week defensively, and he's playing at a very high level preseason all-conference. And their offense starting to click a little bit here in the last couple weeks, I felt. And their head coach, Coach Fox, had been calling plays, and he kind of turned it over to an assistant. And I believe that was prior to last week's game. And they had a better output. And, got a senior quarterback, and they've got some really good talented players, got a really good receiver, tight end, kind of a bigger type kid, number 85. That's really their main target. And so I really, truly think they're going to come in and try and develop the run and, play action type pass and boot type plays, move the pocket a little bit. They struggled protecting a little bit versus Campbell. And so, I think hopefully we can take advantage of that a little bit up front and create some momentum plays.
Your front seven's played pretty well the last few weeks, especially you have so much depth as we talked about. Maybe not 30 people depth in the senior, but you have on the interior line of your defense. In fact, it's amazing how it's someone different each week. But as a coach, you have to like that, because if they all put it together in one game, it may be dangerous out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good that we have some guys that are stepping up and giving some really quality reps, and I think the move to put Ronald Cooper inside on our defensive front has helped a bunch, and we're able to rotate some guys in and out there too a little bit. So, but they're playing well, and it'll be important that they continue to be stout for us on defense as we move forward.
We mentioned the defensive line, and I don't want to overlook your big hogs out front that's been keeping Austin from getting dirty all year. They have played time after time very good games, and as an offensive lineman, you don't get the credit, you don't get the praise, you don't get the girls sometimes, but you have to give them a lot of credit, because they really take pride in the fact to keep Austin standing up.
Got a couple of them in the crowd tonight. They might get mad that you said they don't get the girls. I know that, but they've been playing really well. They've been playing at a high level, protecting our quarterback. Had the second best output in rushing yards last week, 170 some yards. And that's important, so they've done a great job. It's a senior group, got 4 seniors there, and they're all a big part of that. And they've helped build us what we are today offensively.
And we talked about the running game at the beginning of the season. Got to have a 3-headed monster right now, because it doesn't really matter. Like Rob Harden have a big game one week, Brett Holman, Watkins, and it just seems like that's kind of an advantage as a coach, the fact that whoever's hot, you're going to keep them in and give them. But as a defense, as your opponent, you never know who you're going to have in there.
Well, they're all pretty quality right now. They're all doing some nice things. The best thing about it is they're all able to stay in on passing downs and protect for you if needed. I think Robbie is probably the best there in real important situations. He'll be in there to do that for us. But it all starts with the guys up front, and I've said that for a long time, Jay, on both sides of the football. And we've been able to be successful with that running back by committee because of the guys in front of them. So, we've had a little saying here for a long time with those backs is, you're not going to be a 30-carry guy here. And so when you get an opportunity to touch football, you got to take advantage of your touches, and I think they're doing that, and it's helped us become more explosive.
Like the fact that our defense this year has a lot more takeaways, it seems like, than we've had in the last couple years. And anytime you can take it away from your opponent and put points up, I mean, you can take it away and you don't get points. It really doesn't help you. You've been able to take it away and finish and get points on the board.
Yeah, I think this is the first week we were even in probably 7 or 8 weeks. So, of course, we gave up the pick 6, and then we got had another turnover as well, and I can't remember what it was. But, that stat there is pretty important. Here's an interesting thing. Last week we gave up a kick return on the road. And when teams do that, you've got a less than 23% chance of winning. And we won that game on the road. So, the takeaway and the momentum plays are so big, and obviously it's people continue to try and throw against Justin Greer, who's been playing outstanding at corner, and everyone on our back end of our defense. It's been a group effort, let's face it. The reason they're getting picks back there is because we're getting the pass rush, we're getting to the quarterback, we're making them throw quicker, and they'll all tell you that. It's kind of been a team effort.
Yeah, Justin got another pick this past week against Campbell. You bring Drake into town, and as always, as the weather turns a little colder, we just like to remind the people to come out a little earlier. They can tailgate a little earlier, and we need a big crowd. Next 2 weeks are very important for the Eagle football team.
Well, this week's important. That's the week that
that's
that
all
I'm
we're
looking
caring about
at,
right now.
and,
Okay.
And I give our players a lot of credit. This is a big game. It's our next game, and I put a little something in the locker room each week just to remind them what's at hand, who we're facing, maybe a little bit about the history, about matchups, former matchups, maybe last year's game, things like that. So this week was a reminder that we were picked to finish eighth, and they were picked to finish second in this conference. And so for me, that's a tremendous opportunity to go out and compete, and I want our football team to embrace that. And so this is the next step. And we encourage everyone to come out and help and support us. We've had tremendous crowds. Tailgating is, at least that I've heard, has been a great experience.
Yeah, you don't get
having great crowds.
You never get down there to tailgate. You're
know,
about like the broadcasters.
Our wives and my family and my parents, and they're having a great time. And of course, we've had a lot of alumni back this year too, not just for homecoming, and that's great to see. And obviously they're excited about our progress as well.
Other games around the PFL: Butler taking on Marist at noon. Campbell will visit Davidson at 3 o'clock. Dayton will host Jacksonville at 1 o'clock, and San Diego at Stetson at 1 o'clock. And of course, as we said, Dayton leads the league 4-0 in conference play. Morehead State is tied for second with San Diego, 3-1 in league play. Drake will come in at 3-2. If you had to pick a couple of things real quick, what's going to make the difference in an Eagle win on Saturday against Drake?
Well, I just think we got to play a really good team football game. I think the takeaways are going to be huge this week. I think it's going to be that type of game. And as I always say, Jay, it's about momentum plays. And whether it's an opportunity to change field position with a special team, it's a block kick, or a big sack on third down, just those momentum plays. And we've got to have more. And I know our guys will be ready to compete, and they're hungry for this game coming up.
Drake, 1 o'clock, will be on the air at 12:30 on the Eagles Sports Network. Rob, always a pleasure. Keep that smile, and we'll hopefully have a big win to talk about next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Rob Tenyer, head football coach at Morehead State. Once again, if you're out and about here at Buffalo Wild Wings, beginning in about 2 minutes, they'll be having the broadcast of the soccer game between Morehead and Tennessee Tech. Eagles, with a win, will clinch second place in the Ohio Valley Conference. And we'd like to remind you that the Monday morning quarterback club will take effect next Monday. Take your total number of points scored by the Morehead State football team, and fans can get that percentage off up to 45% on one item at the University Bookstore. Be sure to visit the University Bookstore coming up on a Monday. And you can join the Eagles after the game against Drake next Saturday, 1 p.m. for the final home game of the season. It's Senior Day presented by SRG Global. The Eagles will battle Dayton in that matchup, and they'll recognize all the 2015 football seniors prior to the game against Dayton. Ticket packages are on sale now at msueagles.com. That's going to do it for this edition of Eagles Sports Live. I'd like to thank women's basketball coach Greg Todd, Rob Tenyer, the football coach at Morehead State, and all the gang here from Buffalo Wild Wings. Until next Thursday night at 6 o'clock, I'm Jason Blanton. So long, everybody.